What is going on, guys? What an introduction. The guy that I'm here with, actually, will start off with myself. My name's Dave Taggart. I don't need an introduction. This man right here is Hunter Ballew. He definitely is one of the people in this industry. When you walk into a door, everyone knows who he is. Everybody knows what this man has done with his life and with his career and the impact he's created in millions and millions and millions of lives. So without further ado, Hunter, thank you so much for being on my show, man.
Yeah, man, finally made it to the show. I'm excited to jump in, dive in, talk a little bit about roofing, business, life, all that good stuff. I appreciate that intro. I don't know how true it is. I don't think I'm that good. You know, if you ask my wife and the people that work with me, they probably wouldn't tell you I'm that good, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, hey, you got it, brother. You got it. Hunter, first of all, everybody that I know that knows you, we know what roofing.com is. We know what some of your other programs like Revolt, the founder of Revolt. We know your background with Cornerstone Construction and just kind of where you came from. But for people that don't know you, we won't get into who you are. Tell me about why is Hunter doing all these things? Why is your passion to found and create different things that help support not only the roofing industry, but the people inside of the roofing industry and other niche home service communities? Why do you do all this stuff?
Yeah, man. A lot of times I kind of share that story, the backstory when I speak, when I do the podcast. And really, I kind of started for like three reasons. It was money. I wanted to make a lot of money. I wanted to be a millionaire by 30. That was the goal as 18-year-old, 20-year-old Hunter. I wanted to be a millionaire by 30. I wanted freedom, financial freedom, time freedom. And then one thing that's always big for me, man, and a lot of people will tell you not to look at the past and let it fuel you or, you know, push you. But for me, proving a point is huge. I always want to be able to prove a point to those that said I couldn't. It's something that fuels me. Not the majority of the time. That's certainly shifted, you know, as I've gotten older. The things that I want to accomplish, my why, my reasons, my legacy. Those are the reasons that I push so hard now. But dude, you'd be lying if you got on here, if anyone got on here and said those things drive you 100% of the time. It's just not true. Like, we all go through seasons of self-doubt and question ourselves and question the journey and if it's worth it. And sometimes I just have to look back and remember those fools that told me I couldn't do it. And I'm going to do it just because they said I couldn't do it. That's a good enough reason for me.
Yeah, that's a real oh man, how do you say that? I can identify that 100%. I don't think it would have came out with as few many cuss words as it did coming out of your mouth, man. But you know, I can appreciate that. I think that's one of the hardest things to understand for a lot of people is that your sense of motivation will only empower you so much, right? Yeah. And then there has to be other things. There has to be at least a little bit of personal vendetta for Hunter, or a personal, just a thing inside of there, you know, that's your spark and your passion and your fire, man.
There's so much power in just having some dog in you, man. You know, like you look back at some of the greats like Cornelius Vanderbilt, you know, he tried to hand off his company to his son and all the competitors came in and tried to short their stock. Well, Cornelius just came right back and was ruthless. He said, hey, you guys want to play games? I'll own the railroads. I'll just cut you off. You're not even going to be able to take your trains on my railroads because I own it. Wow. So just having some dog in you and being ruthless, like you're living it every day. It's on the screen. It's on your hat, A5, right? Like I'm sure you've talked to your followers, the people that listen to your podcast, about the story behind that. Like every day you're remembering, I got something to prove.
That's right. That's right. Well said, man. Well said. So Hunter, explain to us roofing.com. This is something that you created. It's not just the website, right? So when people hear roofing.com, they automatically think I'm going to just brand assimilate with your brand and with it's got to be the authority in roofing if it's roofing.com, right? Like it's all things roofing related. So tell us, what was roofing.com when you started it? What was the idea? What did it turn into? And why is it important for you to keep dealing with it?
Yeah, man. So I'm a big brand guy. I love smooth branding, short domain names. I have a few of them. I own franchisee.com. I own some other ones. But roofing.com, man, I was after it for several years. I was emailing the owner of it. It was actually a forum before called Talk Roofing, like an old school 1990s website where you got on there and you just chatted about roofing, asked questions, whatever. And I could never get a hold of the guy. He never messaged me back one time. That was a couple years of me messaging him. So finally, I hired an agency. I paid a guy 60 grand to go out and get it for me to negotiate the deal. And so we ended up buying it. Initially, it just kind of served as like an umbrella for all things under roofing.com, RoofCON, Revolt, everything that we've done. And as we started shifting Revolt away from just roofing and started focusing on other trades as well, still most of our members are within the contracting space. But I mean, we have some CPAs and some fitness guys and some people outside of contracting as well. Roofing.com started to really just pivot as well. We started looking at the roll-up model versus the franchise model. And we've got some pretty cool stuff coming January 1st. We've been kind of keeping it low key. We may announce some of it at RoofCon this year in November, but we plan to really launch it January 1st.
Nice, man. So you talked about Revolt. I'm just going to start out by saying Hunter does not pay me to wear this shirt. It was a total coincidence, man. Actually, Revolt was one of the first group of contractors and roofers that I ever got with when I was just starting out in the industry as a business owner. I think I made it to that Revolt retreat in Tennessee, man. And if you don't know what this is, you need to look them up on Facebook, get involved with it. They have free retreats where business owners, you guys invited us out. You sat us down with some of the top people in the industries that came in to teach us different things like marketing strategy and finance and stuff like that. And all I had to pay for was my airfare, right? Everything else was taken care of. But Revolt was that community of brotherhood that I feel like the roofing industry needs more of. And so I understand, that's where I got the cool shirt. I understand what Revolt is, but for people that don't understand Revolt and how it works into roofing.com, explain that a little bit.
Yeah, man. So people ask all the time what Revolt is. Actually, funny story. I just dropped my book, right? Make It Count. Have you seen that? Yeah. So
Right.
Dropped the book, went into the studio to do the Audible. And the dude that recorded my Audible, he's great, man. Great producer. I had plenty of mess ups, and he's done a great job of piecing it all together. Well, it was like the last day I was there, and he's like, man, bust a rap. And I was like, well, actually, I have a rap that I drew up at our last Revolt retreat, which was Dominican Republic. It was like the last night we did a wrap off. We did a battle at our member retreats. We split up teams, and we always have a trophy that the winning team gets. And so last night we did a wrap off. Then I did my own wrap off as like a goodbye message to the group. And so I had that saved in my Evernote on my phone. I was like, yeah, I'll bust it out real quick. So I do it. I don't think anything about it. We're just laughing, having a good time. Well, like 2 days ago, he sends me like a fully produced rap of me doing the DR rap that I had inside of my phone. And so we've been joking now about creating one that I can use to promote Revolt and get people interested in it. And that's one of the lines is people ask me all the time, what's Revolt all about? And I really just tell them, like, it's really community. You know, at the end of the day, there's a ton of masterminds, coaches, consultants, courses you can buy. All that stuff's great. Like, I'm kind of a believer. I've spent over 7 figures at this point investing in myself, into the business and into personal development. And I really kind of believe, like, any course out there, even if they are a shady person, if you actually go through it and try to apply the stuff, you'll get enough value to cover the course. But for us, like, we don't want it to be a course. We don't want it to be a direct one-on-one mentorship where it's like, hey, I want to be on the phone with Hunter all the time. That's not it. I probably get asked once a week at least to do one-on-one, and it's just not my style. It's not what I want to do. I'm all about the group. Like, it's never the Hunter show. You experienced that at the retreat. Like, I've got plenty of content. I could have stood up there for 2.5 days and spoke.
For sure.
I ran a couple of sessions. I'll let other people run a couple of sessions. And I think it's just important to leverage the group's experience, the group's perspective, the group's struggles and pain points that they've gone through in the past, because they can help you through what you're going through right now. And so really, Revolt, man, it's just a community. It's just a family. It's just a place where people can come together, support each other. We just launched our app Friday. We haven't even publicly announced it yet, but it launched Friday. Yeah, so now we have, you were familiar, you know, our main level, we only had one level, was some people would consider expensive. But really, if you look at it, break it down over a year when we were just doing roofing, it was less than a roof a month in profit. And now we've launched it so you can actually get involved for $7 a month through the app. You get a ton of training that we've built over the years. You get the community, social groups, all that stuff. And then the next level is $5,000 a year, 500 a month. And then the next level is 20 grand. And then that one's, our all access Revolt Elite. You get the retreats, you get all of our events. We're actually launching an event next year called Revolt Live. Super freaking pumped about it. It's basically going to be RoofCON, but just for entrepreneurs and not just for roofing. So I just locked down today one of the speakers. I guess I can tell you, a lot of you guys probably wouldn't even know him, but if you go follow him, and I would tell you to go follow him, he is a stud. Like, I follow, a ton of people, and he is one of the best that I've followed in terms of just being super well-rounded. Like, has a great family life, loves his kids, loves his wife, talks about them, involves them. He's always leading them well, leads other people, has a badass mastermind, one of the biggest coaches in the SaaS space. He's built and sold multiple SaaS businesses. His name's Dan Martell. And so I literally am in conversation with him now. We just worked out something for him to come to Revolt Live next year. So super excited about that, man.
That's awesome, dude. Congratulations on all the growth. This is going to be the fourth one, or the
what will
this upcoming RoofCon.
Yeah,
this one,
fourth one. Yeah,
this one's going to be the fourth con.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome, man. So 4 years you've been running. You've been doing Revolt longer than RoofCon, right? Revolt's been around longer than.
Yeah, I rebranded it. I had another name for it, and then we rebranded it to Revolt in 2020.
Gotcha. Okay, so you've been doing that. You've got roofing.com. Some people probably don't know you from Cornerstone Construction, or even your roofing experience running a business and stuff. With running all these different things and founding all these different things, what are some key takeaways from your experience and really applying yourself? Because a website and a brand and growing a culture and we used to joke around and say that roofing.com is a cult, right? So you grew a cult, you know what I mean? Like, you grow this huge following inside the industry. It's so much different from just opening a roofing business. What did you learn about yourself? What did you learn about business that you didn't know when you started opening other businesses?
Yeah, man, I didn't know much at all. I came from, if you don't know my story, came out of high school, barely made it out of high school. To this day, I speak, and almost every time I give credit to Miss Looper, because she's the only reason I passed my 12th grade year. She gave me 16 one-page essays so that I could bring my grade up to a 70. And I actually last week was spending some time after I dropped my book. I gave her a shout out in the book, and I wanted to find her, and I haven't been able to find her. I don't know if she's still alive or not. But yeah, I came out of high school. I was like 189 of 212, not the smartest guy, just trying to figure out a life for myself. My parents both had kind of gone to drug abuse, had split up our family. So I went to the Marine Corps, trying to figure out what my path was going to be. After that, went to the fire department, did that full time as a firefighter EMT for 5 years. And I just always wanted to do my own thing. So early on, while I was at the fire department, I started a side hustle. I had a company called Upstate Hauling and Delivery that I started. And really, we just did like moving, hauling, junk removal, whatever. But it was good money. I made pretty good money. I made better money most weeks than I did at the fire department. And so that hunger to just do my own thing kept growing and kept growing. And finally, in 2015, I stepped away from the fire department and chased it, man. And I left. Beginning of 16 is basically when I started, and I didn't really know what I was going to do. I was going to do some e-commerce stuff. It fell through with a partner that I was working with literally like 9 days after I quit the fire department. And I was like, well, I can't go back to the fire department. I've told all these fools that I'm going to be a millionaire within a couple of years.
Right.
So I leave and I dive into marketing. I'm like, all right, I got to learn marketing. If I can learn marketing, I can grow any business. And so I started focusing on that, did it for a couple of years. And then we started Cornerstone as a case study. That's really how I got into the roofing space. And I didn't know anything about it. And I kind of played around with that for about 2 years. Cornerstone, I guess a year and a half. I started in May of 17. We did like $1 million. Next year we did like $2 million, but I wasn't taking it serious at all. I was still doing consulting, traveling around, all that. And then January of 2019 is when I got real serious, started building a team, built out 6-figure blueprint for my team to be able to go through and have the tools they need, the training, the technology to make 6 figures. And that's when we started to grow. Went 5 million in sales, 15 million in sales. And then, this year we're expecting 20 to 25 million.
Gotcha, man. Congratulations, dude. That's a lot of growth. That's awesome, dude. What's you feel like it's I mean, I'll just say it, guys like you, y'all put the blueprints out there and you make them available. You know, um, they have a quote or a saying, success leaves clues, right? So how do you feel? Like, obviously you're one of the guys that's, you tell you tell your story well. And you're always out trying to educate other people. How do you feel like that's the best way to, I say, pay it forward? Is to take your experience and make it easier for other people, or is that just something that Hunter's passionate about?
Yeah, I'll let you in on a little secret. Now, I don't do it for this reason, but this is true. The more I give, the more I make, bro. I mean, it is just, I mean, it's a proven fact. And it's that way for every person I know that gives big. When we started Cornerstone, I said it a million times on Facebook Lives, recorded videos. You could probably go to our website and still see it somewhere on there today. And I haven't messed with the website in years. Our team does it now. But we used to say the tagline was when you came to the site, the more we grow, the more we give. So the more we grow, the more you guys support us, the more we're going to give back. We're never going to take that for granted. We're going to be appreciative that you guys have helped us grow, and we're going to continue to give back. And I've just kept that mindset, seeing how it worked with Cornerstone, and it really just enabled us to grow. And I've used that for everything else that I've done. There are plenty of people like, oh, you shouldn't give away so much content. You shouldn't tell them what you did. Like, I just don't live with that scarcity mindset. I really do try to live with an abundance mindset. And you know, there's a difference in some people don't want their competition to win. Like, they don't want David to do well. I want you to do well. But if you come to my market, I promise you that I want to do better. I want you to win. I want you to do 10 million, 15 million, 20 million, but whatever you're doing,
Yeah,
I want to do more. That's just who I am. I'm a competitor, right? I don't want you to lose. I just want to dominate. So
that's man. I was gonna say that. So I think there's an Eric Thomas podcast, and he's talking about uh, domination over competition. And he said there are people that, you know, they don't compete. Serena Williams, you know her name. She never once competed. She just went out there and dominated the sport. Right. Tiger Woods did not go out there and compete. He smashed records and dominated his sport. You know, they talk about Kobe and Jordan and, you know, athletes. We hear it all the time. We hear it in athletes, but that's absolutely true, man. I don't even have a problem consulting with or coaching or talking with other roofing contractors in my niche markets. Like in Fort Worth, I get phone calls from guys in DFW all the time asking me, hey, Dave, what should I do here? Sending me their law statements, and I'm helping them look for stuff, right? Just because they don't have any management in place that'll do that stuff for them. And I'm cool with it. I've even done it for guys in San Antonio that are with other roofing companies in San Antonio. Hey, let me help you out. Let me give you a little 411 on the neighborhood, whatever. Because at the end of the day, I don't feel like it's going to do me a disservice one bit whatsoever. Because number one, every interaction I have with somebody who's not doing better than me now knows, fuck, this guy's out here doing better than me, right? He's going to outwork me, so I have to get better. So if we hold the standard super high in the roofing industry and we force everybody else in order to compete with us to get on the same level, it does nothing but elevate the entire industry as a whole. Now we're all charging what we should be charging. Now we're all carrying insurance requirements, you know, and we're toting the line, we're holding the line as an industry. And you're talking about, hey, this is just, you know, what I wanted to do. I decided to dominate in roofing and to do the best that I could and to really set yourself apart from somebody. And I think that's a tremendous mindset to have, you know. Again, like I said, Eric Thomas was talking about that, and I just heard that like 2 days ago, and it kind of blew my mind, man. It kind of just personal development for you. We're talking about Eric Thomas. Who do you turn into? I know that you got a guest, actually three. Holy crap. You got three big names. One of them's coming back for like the second time, I think, or the third time. And you got two other big names at RoofCON this year. Tell us about those guys.
Yeah, man. So super excited. We're going to have John Maxwell back. This will be his second year there. I've done some other events with him. We've run small events here in South Carolina, and then I've done some events with him out of country. So really excited.
Hold on. How do you just become friends with John Maxwell?
You invest, bro. You invest. You get them to your conference. You pay the bill, and then they know you're serious. You know,
that's right.
The game. People are like, "Oh, how'd you get him? You know, how'd you basically what you just said. I'm like, I had to pay to get in there the
We
first
paid
time.
for him.
And I don't hate the guy for that. That's, I hope to be that point one day too, paying people paying me 75 grand to come speak for an hour.
Wow.
But the relationship has been worth, I don't know, hundreds of thousands. I mean, he wrote the forward for my book,
I
and
saw that.
yeah, and like when I asked him, he was like, I don't think forwards are that important anymore, but if you really want me to do it, I'll do it. And I was like, I don't think you realize how valuable your name is on the front of my book. And I mean, we hit Wall Street Journal #1 bestseller, Barnes and Noble, Amazon, not just like one little category, like the entire Kindle store of 12 million books, we hit #1. And I absolutely believe that John's name had something to do with that.
Wow. So John Maxwell obviously has one of the largest volumes and collections of written leadership books in like probably since Methuselah, right?
Yeah.
That means for you uncultured swine, a really fucking long time. And so we've got this whole extent of John Maxwell's life and leadership and faith and focusing on family and employees and things like that. And that's fantastic. But you also have another huge name that's really, I mean, we're talking about from the time he was born, man,
Yeah.
has been smashing records. Tell us about this.
Yeah, Tim Tebow, man, super excited to have him out. I've looked at him. We looked at kind of a few names. Peyton Manning was one that I've looked at for 2 years. We were trying to get him locked down last year, and he couldn't make it with some scheduling issues. And then this year, I had to connect to Tebow, and so decided to roll with him. I just love his story, man. I love his grit. He's just determined to win. And a lot of people, if you look at our ads on Facebook, good Lord, man. I mean, we have so many haters in our comments talking about why is Tebow coming to a roofing conference? He doesn't know anything about roofing. He sucked at football. Why would I want to listen to him? Yada, yada, yada. And to be honest, this is probably not the nicest thing to say.
They were Seminoles fans, bro. That's what.
Yeah.
That's what.
To be honest, man, this is probably not the nicest thing to say, but those are the people we don't care to have at the conference anyway. It's like if they don't understand that there's a lot more to it than roofing, than sales, than marketing, then they're probably not our people anyways, right? It all starts with leadership. It all starts within and becoming a better man, a better woman, a better father, a better wife, a better, uncle. That's what it starts with, leading our team well to be able to grow. Like the best organizations in the world, they have good leaders at top. They know how to sell a vision. They know how to take care of people and empower people. And so that's why, we started RoofCON and we wanted to focus on personal development. It was never about how to just grow your business. We talk about that stuff too. We have great panels, great speakers. You can come in and make an insane amount of money.
Yeah.
You can add it on top of what you've already done. I have countless stories, literally hundreds of testimonials of people that have changed their business. But it starts with the personal development. So when we started RoofCON, it started with integrity, leadership, and legacy. And those three things are what we stand for and we continue to stand for. And then lastly, I can't ever say his freaking last name, but Nick Santosasso. I always have to get
Santosasso.
Can you say it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I always have to get Jenna to say it for me. I always just say Nick Santo. Well, if you don't know him, he spoke with Tony Robbins all around the world. He might end up being the best speaker there. That's what I love, dude. Like last year, nobody knew who Craig Rochelle was. Everybody knows Maxwell. Everyone knows Milet, and they're great. But you bring in someone like Craig Rochelle that nobody knows, and he just throws fire, and he blows people's mind. Andrew Cordell, same thing. And this year we're bringing in Nick. Nobody knows him. And I got one more guy that I haven't announced yet, and I can't quite announce yet. I'm still working on the details. I got one more guy that is an absolute stud we're going to be bringing too.
That's awesome. Yeah, Nick Santonastasso he's a phenomenal speaker. I think the first time I ever saw him was like it was in a video from the 90s, from the maybe late 80s, early 90s, when he was out with like Barbara Walters playing football and riding a skateboard. And he has, I think it's called Heart and Skull, maybe something like that. Is
Hand and Heart?
Hand and heart, something like Hand and Heart, something like that. But basically he was born without fully developed limbs, and the motherfucker never stopped. You know what I mean? Like he just was not going to accept the fact that he could not do some certain things from swinging a baseball bat to playing football, riding a skateboard. And now he like you see some of his stuff on YouTube and Instagram, man, he's doing like CrossFit and, getting out there. Like the dude is jacked, man. And there's definitely, I wasn't talking about Tim Tebow at first. I was referring to Nick, but you went with Tim Tebow and I was like, okay, we'll go with it. Dude's been smashing records since he was born too, I guess. But Nick is a monster, man. The guy's he's just will not stop, dude. And he's got such a huge heart.
Yeah, he's done some pretty cool stuff with like The Rock too. I don't know if you've seen, he's been out there and worked out with The Rock.
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely cool, man. Okay, so we talked about personal development and all these people, Craig Gorshall and John Maxwell and Nick and Tim Tebow. And last year you had the Iron Cowboy, Jeremy Lawrence was there, and I think Ed Milet was there. So there's no denying the impact that personal development plays in sales. Adam Bensman said at one time on a podcast, I think it was his own, matter of fact, he said that sales is just personal development in disguise, right? Roofing sales is personal development in disguise. And I really believe that 100%. But everyone knows that I believe that shit. Hunter, how important do you think personal development and having core values and sticking to your schedule and holding yourself accountable and setting goals and tracking your progress, how important is that stuff, do you feel like, to the level of success that you feel like you've accomplished?
Yeah, everything. And just to use another analogy, another example, like you just used with Adam, Chick-fil-A. I've met the CEO of Chick-fil-A, Dan Cathy, and one thing he says is that we're not a chicken sandwich company. We're a leadership development company that sells chicken sandwiches. And you've probably heard people in the roofing industry say, be a marketing company that sells roof, not a roofing company trying to figure out how to market. So I think at its core, every business, we should be focused on developing our people. If we take care of our people, if we invest back into our people and we equip them to win, then we're going to win. So for me, man, it's really looking at three main things. And you've done some of these exercises with us at the Revolt retreats, at RoofCON. It's setting targets, figuring out what those targets are that they want to hit. And that's not just, hey, I want to make $100,000 in commission. Forget about that. You can add that as one, but dig deep. Have 10 of them. Don't just put one little thing. What health goals do you have? Do you want to lose weight? Do you want to put on muscle? Do you want to be able to run a 6-minute mile? What are your health goals? What's your goal with your family or your spouse? Do you want to be able to take her on a vacation because you haven't done it in 4 years? Do you want to renew your vows? Really dig deep and figure out what it is they want for every aspect of their life, not just in business, not just financially, but every aspect of their life. Then after they set those targets, you have to set a deadline. Set a deadline. Figure out what it is, when it is that you got to hit it. So there's some accountability there. And then lastly, it is that accountability. After you reverse engineered, how do you get to that? How do you actually accomplish it? You got to figure out what the action steps are. Well, you need people to hold you accountable. And that might mean posting it publicly. Like Fearless 44, we have people post publicly every single day because it's accountability. If you say you're doing it and you get to day 13 and the day 14, I don't see a video. Hey man, where you at? I don't see no video. It's ultimate accountability. And so for me, it's a fine line though, because I try not to talk too much. I want to see people see me do the walking and actually taking action. I don't want to overstate what I'm going to do, but I do like putting my goals out there so others can hold me accountable.
So what do you do? Let me ask you this, because there's a situation. I was talking with another roofing contractor and he hit me up and he's like, Dave, I've got, 4 sales guys. I'm trying all the stuff you're doing. I'm checking in with them every day. I'm asking them, to tell me what yard line they're on with each claim every day. And I just can't get them motivated to sell. I want them to produce. I want them to sell. The guy was telling me. And I said to him, I said, well, I think that you might not know what motivates them. What do you do? What's a good way for you to figure out how best to motivate the members of your organization?
Yeah. So a couple of those exercises that we've done at the retreats that you've taken part of, Fulfillment 50, I basically was just alluding to that. Fulfillment 50, going out, figuring out, what are their blessings, what are their reasons, what are their targets, what are the consequences if they don't hit those targets, and then what are the excuses they tell themselves, and then crafting that life mission statement. Like, what is your life mission statement? What do you stand for as a man, not as your business, but as a man, as a father, as a husband? What do you stand for, and what are you working towards every single day? And you're trying to figure out that distance in between, that gap that you have to fill. You have to move towards that. You have to create an action plan to move towards that every single day. So I think just digging in and figuring out what it is beyond the money side of being a sales rep is so important. And a lot of us, we just miss that early on.
Gotcha. So there's more to it than money, and your job is to figure out the people that aren't in it for the money. Because let's be honest, there's plenty of people in roofing and contracting that are absolutely in it for the money,
Right.
right? And you make great income doing this if you really do take the like what you're talking about. If you do these things, if you figure out what you stand for, if you figure out your core values, if you can figure out how to write and create SOPs so that other people in your organization can follow these things, if you can figure out what it takes to build culture, not just the brand, because there is a difference. You can have a big brand and horrible culture, but
Yeah.
if you have horrible culture, you will never for a very long time have a big brand, right? Like, it's just, those things don't work well hand in hand. I firmly believe, like, the notes from this podcast episode, people could literally write these things down and move off into the fucking sunset and have a fantastic contracting business if they would just focus on personal development.
Yeah.
And so, having this conversation with him, he said, I don't know what to do. You're saying you've got to ask questions, right? Like, you've got to talk to your people. You have to know them, things of that nature.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Every great psychologist, what are they doing when you're sitting there? Every great therapist, what are they doing? They're asking you questions. Most of the time, we can figure out the answer ourselves. We just have to be good at asking questions.
Okay, so asking more questions for you. That's how you get to know your people. I try to get to know them. Right now, we've got 7 people on staff. I try to get to know them all. I've been to birthday dinners with my longest time friends. Just recently, I was in Fort Worth for an Apex meetup we had, and one of my project managers, I have not had dinner with him and his fiance in months. It had been months, and so I called him up. I said, "Hey, what are you doing tonight? I'd like to take you out to dinner." We went out to this steak dinner, this nice ass steakhouse, and excuse me, for a 21-year-old sales guy like this is an impressive thing here. But David does particularly well up there in Fort Worth. I know he makes a tremendous amount of income up there because I write his checks every Friday, right?
Yeah.
But I want to make sure that I have the time to be intentional with him. And it was probably a 2-hour long dinner. And I think we talked about roofing one time, like the entire time. How do you maintain that level of intimacy with your organization as you grow?
Yeah, that's super tough. I wish I could sit here and tell you that you can, but I don't think that you can. With Cornerstone, before we sold it, we had gotten to dozens and dozens of reps. I don't think we got to 100, but close to it, between employees and reps. And a lot of those guys, even though we're equipping them, we're giving them everything they need, some of them come and go. And I think it's important that you empower other leaders within your organization who understand that mindset of impact before income. They're willing to ask questions. They're willing to build a relationship. They're willing to pour into them and develop them as a sales rep, as a project manager, as a leader within the company, because we just only have so much capacity as a human being.
Wow.
Right now, with 5, 6 people, 10 people, whatever on the team, yeah, we can get to know them. We can know their spouse. We can know their kids. That's great. But when you have 50, when you have 100, it's just not realistic. Like, you just can't do it as much as and it sucks. I've talked about this a lot before. It sucks because I really like to know my people, and I want them to feel like I'm family, not just their boss. Like, you could go ask my team how many times I've said, do not call yourself an employee. Do not say that you work for me. Like, I just don't operate like that. I want them to feel like they really are part of the family. So you have to do a good job of building leaders within your organization with the same mindset of impact first, income later, that can do the job for you.
You know what's crazy, man, is there are so many sales guys probably listening to the podcast at some point in time. They're going to watch it in a replay and they don't even know that there are business owners out there that feel like this. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like that's the sad, I'm going to be real, man. That's the saddest part about sometimes the conversations that I have. The sales guys call me from like Chicago. They'll call me from, I think I spoke to one dude was in, most recently he was in like Rhode Island or something like that or somewhere up there. And we had a conversation and he was like, how do I come work for you? And I'm like, well, I don't want to open up shop in Rhode Island. That's too far. You know what I mean? That's definitely not something I want to do. But honestly, it was incredible to me to hear that there are still businesses, and I guess this makes sense, right? There's a lot of businesses and business owners out there that aren't particularly into personal development. They've just started a business, and for 45 years, they've been running this business and they're hiring on employees. And that's usually what I see is like family run, long time businesses. They have that same old way of doing it. They don't really make it very long, but it's incredible to think that there are people out here that are like, holy shit, business owners really care. Like
Dude,
there are people out here that will take you to dinner and check on you. Like,
right. I mean, the majority of business owners are not into personal development. They don't know what it's like to go to an event, to go to a conference, to buy a course, to invest in themselves. And, I'm not saying anything bad about those people. A lot of them just have never had the realization or they've never had the right people around them to challenge them to do it. So they're just grinding away every single day, earning their coin, thinking they're doing good, but they don't realize there's another mountaintop, there's another level that they can go to.
yeah, that's incredible, man. That's wild, dude. Well, Hunter, that's probably all the stuff I guess that I've got for you, bud. You dropped some knowledge on us on 3 things that you need to do in order to, it sounds like, to grow and to scale your business, how to empower leaders. We talked about creating momentum and dominating and stuff like that. Hunter, if there was something that you could go back and you could talk to 18-year-old Hunter, and you could sit, or 16, let's say 16. I don't know what your life was like at 18, but if you
Yeah.
were like me at 16, you were on the precipice of fixing to have to leave and young enough to stay around a little bit longer, right? And so 16, man, what would you run back to Hunter and say?
Yeah, I wouldn't have waited so long to shift my mindset to impact before income. And I know I talk about that a lot, but it's just the truth. It's just my story. Like it's when everything changed for me is when I stopped focusing on the money and started focusing on the impact. Is when I started making a lot of money. So I think that's real important. And then one other thing, man, is just, and this is a daily battle, a weekly battle, and it probably is for all entrepreneurs. You really got to take what others say with a grain of salt. You got to really just not care too much about what others think. You could go out and you could help a homeless guy, give him $100 and, get him some new clothes and put him in an apartment and whatever. And there's going to be half the world that's like, man, you're such a nice guy. And the other half is going to say, oh, you're just enabling a drug user, whatever. They're going to have a story for you and they're going to have a reason why you shouldn't have done it. I've seen that in so many situations. The Tim Tebow poster, perfect. RoofCon's coming up November 6th through the 8th. And we've got all these great speakers. And there's Tim Tebow, there's Nick. And if you don't know Nick, you heard David talk about him earlier. He's missing limbs, right? And there are people busting jokes on him in the comments. And it's like, what is wrong with you, man? Like if you came out and you actually came with an open mind, he could change your life. But too many of us, we worry about others, what others are going to say. You've met Diego. You know Diego. When Diego came out with 100 Mile June, the challenge to raise money for adopted families,
Yeah.
to be able to help them to get a child out of a home, out of DSS. Do you know how many comments, bro, there were of people against adoption? It was more comments against him saying, oh, you shouldn't support adoption. You need to leave the baby with the mom, yada, yada, yada. Why don't you give that money to the mom? It doesn't matter what you do. I experienced that myself this year with the whole lawsuit BS. People are going to look at you. They're going to make their judgment without asking for any backstory, and that's fine. You'll figure out real quick who the real ones are and who really is just hoping for your downfall, and be grateful for both.
Hunter, my man, I appreciate that, dude. I really do appreciate that. I can identify with that a whole lot, man. I love that. Thank you for dropping knowledge on us today. Guys, if you are more interested in my man Hunter here and what he's got going on, not just with roofing.com, but with through Revolt, Cornerstone Construction, you guys also have the what's the nonprofit? Which one is that one?
Cornerstone Kids.
That's Cornerstone Kids. Y'all need to go look this guy up on Facebook. Follow him. Learn as much as you can from Hunter. And you can find him. Hunter, where can they find you at other than Facebook, obviously?
Yeah, man. Facebook, and then Instagram. I have at Red White Ballew. If you want a copy of the book, I'm gonna have a bunch of those printed for RoofCon. So super pumped about that. I can get you a book at RoofCon. I can send you one, whatever. Just let me know. You can shoot me a DM. You can go to werevolt.app if you want to look at the app. We actually are doing 30 days free. You don't even have to pay any money. Check it out. See if it's worth it to you. We got a ton of content in there for free. And if it's worth it, then it's $7 a month.
I love it. Hunter, thanks very much, man, for having the time for the show. Thanks for everything that you've done for myself, for other members of the roofing community. And as always, I'm your boy Dave, the Roof Poppy, your favorite roofer's favorite roofer. And this has been another episode of Roofing Underground.